Hey everybody, how are you? Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm here to talk about my top 10 receivers for fantasy football in 2025. We're brought to you by Lisa. I'll talk a little more about Lisa as we get going here. But to start with, okay, I'm not even going to start with the countdown first, just a little bit on draft strategy, because I think when we talk about wide receivers, we need to talk a little bit about draft strategy. There will be people who tell you to take a wide receiver overall first in a fantasy draft. I'm here to tell you, I think that's bad strategy, and I think it's getting worse, frankly, as more and more teams have more and more receivers who can pop in any given week. It's undeniable running backs are worse bets to stay healthy than wideouts, although wideouts get hurt as well. But I think you just have to bite the bullet and take on the extra risk if you're picking first overall in a fantasy draft, because running back is simply the hardest position to replace. I can make all the VBD arguments. I do that in the Almanac. You can check that out. But for now, let's move on. So let's just list them. Just because I don't have them first overall doesn't mean I don't love them. A lot of these guys I love a lot. We're talking half PPR. That's the list I'm counting today. Number one, he's going to be everybody's number one. It is Jamar Chase of the Bengals. We're a long way from his rookie training camp when Chase's ADP fell because, and I'm checking my notes, some beat reporter said that Chase had a hard time catching a football without the white stripes that a college football has. It's hard to think any receiver is automatically going to repeat the 1,700 yards and 17 touchdowns that Chase did last year. He made so many big plays in 2024. And that's because he's like a running back. Imagine Jahmyr Gibbs, but oh yeah, he can also run every route and his hands are awesome. In a standard league, Chase would be my number 5 overall player. And then in a full PPR, he'd be number 4 overall player. I'd say half PPR, probably also number 4. He's spectacular. It's just I'm not going to take him number 1 overall, but he's great. He's probably everybody's number 1 coming off of last season. At number 2 years ago, Justin Jefferson's season was wrecked by injury. Last year, we had questions about Sam Darnold. Nope, didn't matter. Awesome route runner, a downfield monster. Jefferson was tied for the most catches of balls thrown 20-plus yards downfield last year. He's great in the end zone and possibly the best wide receiver hands currently in the game. Yes, it is a scary proposition to have another question at quarterback. Darnold's gone. Now it's J.J. McCarthy who has to prove that he can keep his impressive stable of weapons happy. But Jefferson just so good. Grant him health. He should be totally locked in. At number 3, CeeDee Lamb. Now, he underperformed his ADP and his preseason rank last year, but of course he did. He lost his quarterback when Dak Prescott got hurt week 9 against the Falcons. At that point, Lamb was the number 5 receiver in fantasy. From that point forward, he was the number 31 receiver in fantasy. The quarterback matters. Now, Lamb probably isn't the absolute athletic monster Chase and Jefferson are. He's not quite a burner like that, but he's incredible slipping through high traffic areas late in the down, making a big play, surprisingly elusive after the catch. Are we worried? Brian Schottenheimer's the head coach. Are we worried? Dallas also brought in George Pickens. I'd say not really to both of those things. If he and Prescott stay healthy, Lamb is just one of those unimpeachable dudes who will see double-digit targets in a week more often than not. So I'll get back to the list, I promise, but let me thank Lisa for sponsoring, because without them, there would have been no list. There's no video. Now, I have a cranky back. I think a lot of you probably know that. And I trust Lisa as my mattress with that cranky back. I am a bi-coastal Lisa sleeper. I have one in Massachusetts, currently being occupied by my sister, who's staying at my place there, and also a Lisa here aboard the yacht. I love Lisa. But of course, a mattress is a personal thing. Just because I love it doesn't mean you will. But first of all, Lisa has several varieties of mattress feels available on the website, so check that out. And also, you can buy a Lisa, have it sent to your door, and get 100 nights to sleep on it. And if it's not perfect for you after more than 3 months, they will refund you and come pick it up. No questions asked. They're a great company. They've donated thousands of beds to homeless shelters. They're really terrific, and it's their early access Labor Day sale, 25% off mattresses site-wide when you go to leesa.com, and if you check out with the code Harris, they'll take $50 off the top on top of that. So 25% off site-wide, leesa.com, and get another $50 off when you use that code Harris. Okay, let's get back to the list. I'm reminding you, this is half PPR, but to be honest, the format wouldn't matter. In all formats, my wide receiver 4 is Puka Nacua of the Rams. He is such an absolute wrecker. If Justin Jefferson doesn't have the best hands among all receivers, then Puka Nacua does. If you have resistance to the idea of making Nacua your pick sort of later in the first round, it's probably because of his durability concerns that stem from he takes real serious hits. He does. If you could somehow Frankenstein Deebo Samuel, remove Deebo's hands and attach Puka's hands instead, that sort of should get you in the mindset of what I mean. Two guys, they don't have great speed, and they have to work in traffic, and they're in the middle of the field, and they get absolutely blasted all the time. As I like to say, both guys, they're here for a good time, not maybe for a long time. But yeah, the difference is Puka is a world-class catcher of the football. It's true, Devontae Adams is going to be in LA too. It's true that Matt Stafford is older now, and we could be one hit away from Jimmy Garoppolo under center. But man, Puka is such a monster as a pass catcher. He's my number 4. And at number 5, I'll go Nico Collins. He missed 5 games last year because of a hamstring injury, but in fantasy points per game, he finished number 6. He's a beefy, big dude, really strong, who can nevertheless fly. He's a great runner. He has enough good releases off the line that he pretty much always plays the X receiver. He's just one of the scariest guys in the league running the post. Think about this. Puka Nacua was a 5th-round pick in 2023. Nico Collins is a 3rd-round pick in 2021. The NFL draft, absolutely not a science. And don't let Mel Kiper tell you different. Anyway, I think the tape is a lot kinder to C.J. Stroud's second year than the stats were. Houston clearly lost its faith in its offensive line, and maybe a lot of changes there will make things better. I just think the one constant will continue to be Nico Collins making big plays. At number 6, I'll go Amon-Ra St. Brown. It is close with the next 2 guys, but half-point PPR. I'll go with the high-volume guy, ARSB. The people who judge all this stuff only by numbers, well, they're in the middle of saying, what's the big problem? Amon-Ra St. Brown did 115 catches, 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns. He should be the 3 among receivers. But if you watched it, things were not so great week by week in 2024. St. Brown saved himself. First of all, he scored 20% of his fantasy points in 2 games. And he had 8 games last year where he did fewer than 60 yards. He saved himself with some pretty extreme touchdown luck. But all that said, of course, St. Brown is incredibly quick and smart, has great chemistry with Jared Goff. So in a world where, at this point, every receiver is a little up and down, then we'll take the ups and downs with Amon-Ra, knowing that high volume should be there most weeks. At number 7, I'll say Malik Neighbors. 6, 7, 8, almost interchangeable to me. Neighbors obviously also had some extreme volume. He had 170 targets. That's 29 more targets than St. Brown, and that's with Neighbors missing 2 games. But I also do have to ask, was that kind of reliance on Neighbors a sign of a healthy Giants offense? Were they good on offense with all that focus on Malik Neighbors? I mean, the guy is really fast. He's dangerous. He can be a 2nd-round fantasy pick and your wide receiver 1 on a team. But I'd almost believe that it'd be better for him to cut out some of the hopeless screen passes the Giants kind of had to throw to him last year because nothing else was working, and then just hopefully get enough other stuff going with that offense, and therefore maybe that offense could score a few more points. Terrific talent with Neighbors. It'll presumably be Russell Wilson throwing it to him early in the season, and then maybe Jackson Dart later in the year. Now, I think whoever is going to be throwing it, the main guy they'll throw it to will still be Malik Neighbors. At number 8, now he's higher for me in a standard scoring league, but if we're getting points for catches, he drops just a little bit. A.J. Brown. The Eagles will be good again. The offense hasn't changed anybody. It's exactly the same setup for A.J. Brown. But isn't that a good thing? Because it's pretty clear last year at times that setup frustrated him. He famously started reading self-help books on the sideline and also got into shouting matches with coaches because he wants the ball more than 7 times per game. But when Brown does get the ball, he is a wrecker. Another big, fast guy like Nico Collins, an aerial specialist in the end zone, a sideline artist. In a different situation, he could be a double-digit target guy. But in Philly, it's probably not happening. Jalen Hurts doesn't stink, but he's a particular kind of quarterback. He is limited. And the Eagles are going to try to win primarily with running and with defense. Now, there's going to be great games for A.J. Brown in 2025, but there'll probably be a few where he and you are frustrated. At number 9, it's Brian Thomas, massive rookie season. Thomas came into the NFL draft last year with people calling him maybe a one-trick pony. All you can do is be big and run straight down the field real fast. I can't tell you that in his rookie year, Thomas ran every route and was always perfect coming back to the ball, but curl routes, pivot routes, post routes, go routes for sure. These he did extremely well, proving to be a full field weapon. The Jags did draft Travis Hunter, number 3 overall. That's not automatically good or bad for Brian Thomas. It's a crutch argument to say that adding a second good receiver is automatically anything. If Hunter's arrival winds up rising the tide and leading to a wagon offense in Jacksonville, to mix my metaphors, then that'll benefit everybody, including Brian Thomas. Thomas did a bunch of his statistical work last year with the Jags, playing out the string and him catching passes from Mac Jones, but he is a monster talent. And at number 10 on my half PPR receiver list, I'm putting Jackson Smith-Njigba. I was kind of lukewarm on his rookie year and even his second year. As was happening, I don't remember saying all that many things on the podcast week by week, like, wow, this JSN guy, he's just awesome. But then I rewatched most of that 2024 tape this spring to write the Player Profile Almanac. If you'd like to learn more about that, go to harrisfootball.com. I kind of fell in love with JSN. He's so smooth. He's one of those guys whose head doesn't seem to move at all when he runs. He's just like lightning in and out of breaks, never seeming to like break a sweat, and yet always running past defenders and faking them out. His ability to shake at the top of a route is really, really crazy. And I know the argument against JSN, well, it's going to be mostly situational, isn't it? Oh no, Sam Darnold is the quarterback. Oh no, Cooper Kupp is there, and don't they have to play in the slot, both of them? Or oh no, Clint Kubiak is there, and the Seahawks keep saying they're going to recommit to the run. All may be true. I don't know. All things that people say when they need to come up with a whole bunch of things to say about a player and a situation. But I don't think any of those things mean that they're not going to try to get the ball to their best playmaker, and JSN is very clearly their best playmaker. Plus, in year 3, I can imagine a more varied usage. I say if you're getting any kind of points per reception, even if it's half, that JSN belongs in the second round. And if you take a running back in the first round, he could be your wide receiver 1 in fantasy for 2025. So those are my top 10 receivers for a half PPR going into the year, at least as of our recording this. What do you think? Tell me down in the comments. Let me know where I've gone incredibly wrong. And of course, I will immediately change my ranks because that's how I roll. I want to thank once again Lisa for sponsoring. I want to thank producer Dave Pyper, an incredible guy and a celebrity producer if ever there was one. I want to remind you the podcast is now 5 days per week in August, so check it out. And you can get the Harris Football Player Profile Almanac if you've never purchased it before. I wrote it for like 3.5 months. It's like 110,000 words. It's lots and lots of profiles, something like 230 profiles of players that you might consider drafting this year. I think you'll like it and think it's fun and funny. You can find out all the details at harrisfootball.com. Please like the video. It helps. Please subscribe to the channel. It helps. I really appreciate all of you. Let me know down in the comments what you think, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button, write a comment, tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on, and of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.